On the horizon, we remain on Jaylen Brown watch ahead of tonight's start of free agency, 6 p.m. Eastern time. As Shams and others have reported, the Boston Celtics still looking for a trade partner for their star wing. A handful of teams have been rumored to be interested in Brown, but a trade has yet to materialize for the second-team All-NBA player. David, I know that we talked about Ja Morant and him moving to the Portland Trail Blazers. Last week at this time, we were talking about maybe Jaylen Brown goes to Portland. Maybe they're a team that's in it, maybe they're not, but who needs to make that call to Brad Stevens and the Celtics the most for Jaylen Brown?
Well, I was with you at first. I thought the Portland, they got like a Wu-Tang Clan number of guards out there. I thought they were going to ship some of them to the Celtics to get Jaylen Brown, but it seems like that door is closed. For me, the thing that makes the most sense, is best for Jaylen Brown's career, is best for a championship, is sending him to Denver. I think the move to Denver, you get Jamal Murray over there, and you have a piece of a guy who has been a second best player on a championship team in Jamal Murray. Let him play with Jason Tatum, and then you bring Jaylen Brown over to Denver and let him play with Jokic. And he will be the second best player on a championship contending team again. But you have Jokic, who is trying to make a claim again as the best player in the world. I think some of people are kind of doubting that after that playoff run. Then you have Jaylen Brown, who feels, rightfully so, that he should be considered an MVP type of guy. You put them together, Jokic can play with anybody. And you put Jaylen Brown there with that team, we are elevating Denver right back in that conversation with OKC and San Antonio.
Herc, you see it the same way?
One, I want to ask, how did we get to this point, right? Like, you know, I love Brad Stevens, but he completely dropped the basketball on this trade when it came down to losing the Giannis sweepstakes. Let me get that out the way. And he cannot bring Jaylen Brown back in that locker room. If I'm Jaylen Brown, I don't want to be brought back in that locker room. Second time that they didn't try to trade this man. So let's get that out the way. So the Denver Nuggets make sense, but I was told that the money just wouldn't match, and they don't have the cap space, whatever that is. Okay, cool. So I'm looking at the Eastern Conference. Vinny, you gonna love me for this one. I'm looking at the Detroit Pistons. Real talk. I'm looking at the Detroit Pistons. It's a lot going on because we don't know what's going to happen with Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren seemed like he's frustrated, right? Because it's a gap, a large gap in the negotiation. What was the biggest knock on the Detroit Pistons last year? It wasn't a physicality. It was Cade not having a bona fide second option. Although Tobias Harris played some hell of a basketball in the postseason, he's no Jaylen Brown. And if you could get Jaylen Brown alongside Cade Cunningham, now you cooking with something. You cooking with something. Again, right now, if I'm Boston, I wait it out. I wait to see what's going to happen with Jalen Duren. We're hearing that he's supposed to meet with the Lakers, right? He's supposed to have conversation with the Lakers. Another team that has real traction with Jalen Duren is the Sacramento Kings. Yeah, the Sacramento Kings. Shout out to Scott Perry and B.J. Armstrong, because I was told that nobody wanted to go to Sacramento. But Jalen Duren apparently have interest in going there. I'm not saying the deal is going to get done, and if it don't get done, it still shines a bright light on the Sacramento Kings, the fact that he's even interested in going over there and play the game of basketball. But I would say, yes, Denver is a great choice. I don't know if they can make it work with the money and all this stuff. I don't get into the first and second apron and the cooking apron. I don't do all that. But I know one thing, the Detroit Pistons, they need a guy like Jaylen Brown, especially if they lose Jalen Duren.
Kirk said a lot there. For one, Sacramento even getting the meeting and the visit with Jalen Duren is big, considering they don't have the cap space, and Scott Perry and B.J. Armstrong just getting there having to clean up. That is a big thing to try to change that perception of that franchise and trying to do it in the course of a year. That's one thing. Two, Kirk, I'm a journalist. I know a lot of people are fans of the New York Knicks who are employees here at ESPN, but I am an impartial journalist. Let's get that out of the way. I do think that Jaylen Brown would be good in Detroit if they were able to find something, but I don't think the Boston Celtics are going to deal with a team that they consider their rival. Like, very rarely do players like Jaylen Brown go in conference. That's why we always look out west to a team like the Clippers, to a team like the Denver Nuggets. Looking at the Nuggets, think about this. Nikola Jokic is still quite possibly the best player on earth, right? Got knocked out in the first round this year. Has not been a part of the championship discussion for the past couple of years. He has 2 years left on his contract. Players do not hit free agency anymore. Free agency, by all intents and purposes, is dead. If you don't like your deal or you don't like where you are, you force your way out or you resign where you are and you get traded somewhere else on the back end. They need to be worried about surrounding Jokic with a player of Jaylen Brown's caliber and getting creative in this way. If it's Detroit, so be it. But you said the biggest thing to me, Perk. The Celtics have totally bungled this Jaylen Brown thing.
That's where I wanted to go next because, Perk, like, we have this conversation, feels like just about every offseason, where they dangle him out there only to bring him back. I don't think you can put the toothpaste back in the tube here and bring him back into that locker room, but what happens if they can't move him?
It's not a what happens if they can't. They have no choice. They have to move him. And it's a reason that we're hearing reports from my guy, Brian Windhorst, that the Celtics are the ones actually making phone calls right now because they know they have to. Like, Jaylen Brown is a guy that he's a difference, right? He's a different type of individual in a good way. He's not going to hold back from how he feels. We see that on his streams. We see that in the back and forth in the media, whether he's going at me, whether he's going at Stephen A, or whether he's going at Bobby Marks. Jaylen Brown is going to let you know how he feels. You don't think heading into training camp, if Jaylen Brown is still on that roster, the type of energy that's going to be in that damn locker room? No coach, no organization wants to deal with that. And make no mistake about it, because you always got to be clear to some of these idiots out here in this social media world. I'm not calling Jaylen Brown a cancer or anything to that nature. I'm saying, as a human being, as a former player, if a team or organization tried to trade me twice, and I don't give a damn, you can't flatter me and say, well, at least we tried to trade you to get Giannis. That don't make Jaylen Brown feel good, because in Jaylen Brown's mind, he feels like he's the best player in the NBA. He has come out and said that publicly. So trying to make him feel good by saying, look, your value was so high, we was trying to get Giannis, understand the business. No, it's no more understanding if I'm Jaylen Brown. If I'm Jaylen Brown, I want out, and Brad Stevens got to get it done because he dropped the ball losing that Giannis sweepstakes to the Miami Heat.
And we know that Jaylen Brown's coming off the best season of his career. He said it was his favorite season to date. We heard the MVP chants throughout the season. You would like to imagine that there would be some team out there wise enough to pull the strings to make a trade like this happen.